Alright, so this video will be the first in a series of videos on the Pseudo Effect Maker preferences. To get to the preferences, you're going to go over to Menu, and then down at the bottom you'll always see Preferences listed. Once inside, you'll see Restore Defaults, Save, and Cancel. Those do exactly what you expect them to do. And then you'll see a bunch of groups of different preferences that are available. Each separate group has this question mark icon at the top. Click on those and you'll see all of the details about all the preferences within that group. So if you ever need to reference it, it's always there for you. Now this first video is going to be going over the display value parameters. And these have very specific effects within the Pseudo Effect Maker. For example, this first section, layer dimensions, only affects point controls. So if we go back out and we create a new point and a 3D point, we can see that in the options for these controls, we have both a %x and y, or for 3D point we also have a z, and then we also have the point values. Now the point values are what's actually seen by the user. So if I put in a value of 10 for the x, you can see that the 3D point's x value is now 10. However, what After Effects is actually using under the hood is these percentages. And you can see that when we put in a point value of 10, it gives us this percentage. That's based on what we need the percentage to be in order for the point to show as 10 when the layer dimensions are 1920 by 1080. That means that if our layer, which this solid here is 1920 by 1080, if we apply this control to that layer, you'll see that our 3D points control is a value of 10. And if we reset this, we still get that 10. However, if we modify this layer and give it a width of, say, 100 pixels, you can see that now that percentage is no longer 10. It's 0.5, and if I reset, it stays 0.5. So you have to remember that point control's default values are always relative, which means they always are going to be using these percentages. So what this first option does is allow you to see what the values are going to be when the layer size is what these values are. So if I change the width now to 100 to match the layer that we just created, and I hit save, you can see that now that 3D point control is showing what the value actually will end up. The next option down is to use the selected layer dimensions. So if I click on this option, hit save, since I have our layer that has a width of 100 selected and I click back in, you can see we keep the 0.5. But now if I create a new solid, and I'll set this back to 1920. So now we have two layers. The first one at the top of the list is 1920 by 1080. If I click back into the Pseudo Effect Maker, you can see that now our point value updates to show you what this layer would be if that effect was applied. If we switch back and then select the Pseudo Effect Maker again, you can see that it updates. So that's what that check mark does, is automatically update our interface to show what the values would be on the selected layer. In that case, it only uses these two values as a fallback in case you have something like a camera or a light selected where they don't actually have a width and a height. The next option down is color depth, and this is an even smaller piece of the Pseudo Effect Maker. This only affects slider controls, and only when the slider control has the display pixel option selected. So if I add a slider to this control, you can see that pixel values is an option down here, and when I select that, you can see that our min and max values get multiplied. Now these multiplication factors are specified by the number of colors available to us for whatever the current bit depth is. Now if we were to go in here and change this to 16 bits per channel, you can see that now the number changes, and we have 32,768. So whatever values we have shown in here, and you can see that these values have not changed, but they are being multiplied based on that bits per channel, based on the color depth of the current project. And then for 32 bits, that's floating point, and it doesn't actually get multiplied, but you can see that it's locked into 4 decimal places. So for 32 bits per channel, that's what you'll get. And this will actually change within your effect controls panel as the project's bit depth changes. So if I apply this right now, just the old one, and we'll bring this down so you can see that because our project is currently 8 bits, we have that same value that we were seeing before. Change this to 16 bits per channel and go back to that control. You can see it's been multiplied, and change it once again, and you can see it's just the same as what we were seeing inside the Pseudo Effect Maker, although the Pseudo Effect Maker shows all 4 decimal places for the min and max slider value, but you can see that that updates as the project's color depth changes. So just like with the point controls before, there's also an option to use the current project's color depth. Select that, hit save. You can see that currently we have 32 bits per channel selected over here, and it's showing the proper values for 32 bits per channel. If we change this back to 8 bits and we reselect the pseudo effect maker, you can see that the slider control updates to reflect what the values would be. So that's really it for this first section. You can see that they controlled a very minor part of the pseudo effect maker, but depending on your control, those could be important to you.